country.
Well, I've seen really Iran and Ukraine's NATO facility.
And we are live once again with my good friend Larry Johnson. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm with you. It's Tuesday. Nothing else to do.
Since I have nothing to do, I'll just go to this guy's podcast.
Yeah, just hang out.
Hey, aren't you the guy from the TV show I was just watching, Judge Napolitano?
Yeah, if they'll let anybody on his channel.
Yeah, my mom always told me I'm not anybody. So I think your mom also taught you that. Larry, my good friend, how are you doing today? You're great. We are here today once again with another episode of Unlimited Intelligence with Larry Johnson from sonar21.com. Don't forget to follow Larry on his blog, sonar21.com. I don't think it's fair to call it a blog. It's a news outlet. It's an intelligence outlet.
Well, yeah, I try to write intelligently and to gather publicly available intelligence and present it in a way that people can understand what's going on. You know, it's like yesterday after I heard Trump talking about how dependent India was on the United States for its exports. And, you know, he couldn't understand why India would not, succumb, bend the knee to the United States. And I thought, I never knew that India was such a big exporter to the United States. Well, it turns out it's not. Indian exports account for about $131 billion. India's GDP is 4 trillion, at least 4 trillion. That's the conservative estimate. So, if it loses all those exports to the United States, it's only about 2% of its GDP. I mean, a little bit of damage, but nothing fatal, nothing catastrophic, nothing that they can't recover from. But in contrast, when you look at how important, they import about a third. You compare what they export to the United States, they import about a third of that in dollar value of oil. But that oil is very important. They refine it. They can produce diesel fuel. That diesel fuel goes into trucks. Those trucks they go across India, carrying goods and people. And it is that fuel is a critical component of the Indian economy. And to take that away and then force Indians to buy something more expensive is just insane. And India is not crazy. So here's Trump with no understanding of the economics of this. And it's one thing for him not to understand it, but good God, his advisors around him, Peter Navarro and these other clowns, they should have known better. I predicted at the outset India wasn't going to comply with this, but there's just a lot of bad assumptions about how much leverage the United States had over India. We have very little.
This is starting to becoming so repetitive, very little leverage over other countries by the United States. I have a question. Well, first of all, let's get to the question of the week. Is Trump dead?
No.
Good. We have a former CIA analyst confirming that Trump's not dead.
There has been something strange going on since he had that cabinet meeting a week ago. It was I guess he sort of disappeared from public life. And so that's rumor started. He was dead. He was having some medical crisis. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the shitters been freaking out about this. For me, it's always smokes and mirrors. So we talk about that and we don't pay attention. So let's put that aside. We already got, yeah, he's not dead. Good. If he's
Yeah.
dead, someone else is doing his job, which was not very good at the beginning. So
Well,
what else can go
that was the
wrong?
word out on Joe Biden too. So
Yeah, exactly. They're just recycling, narratives. And about Joe Biden, that fits perfectly on Bidenomics. Just not understanding the 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 mechanics. I've been seeing this Peter Navarro. The guy is having a freak out. It's completely a meltdown.
yeah, no,
He's completely lost.
Navarro is, he went to jail for obstruction of justice charges. He is a Trump loyalist, but he's not what I'd call an economist with sound judgment. I don't maintain that I'm some economic expert. I did my one of my PhD comprehensive fields, and I had to take an exam on it, was international economics. So I do have a sort of a good grasp of the fundamentals and can see where the major trends are going and what's happening. And while we were talking, I was just looking up to make sure. So the dollar value of all U.S. imports coming into the United States is about a little over $4 trillion. Well, and then the $131 billion that India would send to the United States. So that's almost 2.7 to 3% of total U.S. trade is with India. Again, we're making a line, drawing a line in the sand over 3% of the trade value to us. Are you kidding? And it'd be, again, it's one thing if in the trade relationship that there's something that the Indians absolutely positively got to have from us. Is it food? No, it turns out not to be the case. And conversely, there's nothing that the only thing that India sends us that we actually need is in the category of pharmaceuticals, a lot of prescription meds. So yeah, we lose that, then we've got a problem. So this was just unnecessarily picking a fight with India, and now India's responded by saying, "Screw you, we're gonna, we're going out with Putin and with Xi." It's like let's say you've been in a relationship with some girl for quite a while, but you're going to start telling her what she has to wear, what she has to do, and she says no. She goes out with another guy, and then you keep trying to call her, and she's not returning your phone calls. That's exactly what's going on right now with Trump and Modi. Modi has decided he's dating Xi and Putin. In fact, you saw there's that one video clip of Putin and Modi walking along holding hands, which is, in Western Europe and in the United States, that's something only the homosexuals do normally. But in countries in the Middle East and in Asia, it's quite common. It's natural. So, but some meme makers in the United States are laughing at that, saying look, Modi and Putin are now dating.
At the same time, this is the first thing every Western leader wants to do with another Western or subjugated leader when they want to pass the impression of union. You have pictures with Macron and Lula,
Yeah,
which were weird to say the least. And Zelensky with the Europeans, all those guys, they're always holding hands, hugging very tight. There are some very weird videos of Keir Starmer hugging Zelensky, and that's, a little shamely, actually.
Yeah,
It looks weird.
at least he wasn't squeezing his ass cheeks,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that.
You saw, you've seen the photograph and the video of Modi, Putin, and Xi, and they're laughing, full belly laughs. And oh my God, the number of memes that is produced. My favorite was they're laughing. You got Modi saying to Putin and Xi, "Can you believe Macron? He's married to a dude." And they're all laughing. The other one was they're laughing at. They say, "Can you believe how dumb Donald Trump is?"
That's a very easy one.
Yeah, so that's got him laughing. Or Putin says, "Yeah, my grandfather was a bus driver. He died peacefully in his sleep. Can't say the same for the other passengers, though." So the people they're coming up with different jokes and then putting it with that video, and there you see them all laughing, full belly laughs. So it's pretty funny.
Hey, there's a lot of geopolitics on this last one. We just asked this Twitter meltdown about freak out about Trump being dead. Yeah, perhaps this is a very good metaphor. The guy is quietly dying when he's sleeping, unlike the passengers of the Titanic ship called United States.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the reality. No matter how much money you have, no matter how much fame you have, no matter what accomplishments you have in life, everyone's going to die, including Donald Trump. Could be today, could be years from now. So it's just, nobody escapes that. And when it happens, it happens. What I'm concerned about now is that Trump, when he is alive, is engaged with very destructive policies. And, he claims to want to be this guy who's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize, but he wants to change the Department of Defense to call it the Department of War. Like, we have better things to do than go out and encourage and incite war. Now, he's correct. It would be a more accurate description of what we've been doing the last 40 years, waging war as opposed to defending America. But, again, that's just one of those tangents that has got him off, running over the horizon.
Still talking about Trump and the U.S. policy, I have a question from a friend of mine. And actually has another channel called Fala Sério Total, and we have a show together every Thursday here on the media of mass destruction. I'll read it to you because he sent me a couple of minutes ago. He has sent me before, but now he wrote me in English, so it's going to be easier for me to formulate.
Oh, okay.
So the question is, Trump already has power by being the president of the United States. But there's a difference between having power and being authoritarian because of power, compared to what it means to have authority. The one who has authority is the one who convinces, knows how to lead, who truly convinces through the ideological points they possess. I perceive, watching from far, that Trump, despite having power, does not have authority, especially before those who are under his command, let alone the population and society of the United States. As a former CIA agent, not agent, analyst,
officer. Yeah.
Bad choice of words.
He didn't know. That's all right.
He doesn't watch us. He's actually watching us. Is your perception the same? On the contrary, what is your perception?
Well, actually, I think he makes a very astute observation. It's true that Trump has legal authorities delegated to him that he can use and take different announce different policies. But it's like you're on a battlefield. You've got the rank. Let's say that you're the captain in charge of a company. A company's 150 men, and you're under fire. And the captain says, "Come on, boys, let's go!" and starts running forward. And nobody follows him. Okay. That's the difference between having the legal command and the actual authority that where people will follow what you say, what you do. So, and that's where Trump's falling down. He's really alienated his base on several issues, claiming that the whole Epstein thing is bullshit, as he says, and it's a Democrat hoax. Yeah, no, it's not. In fact, he talked a lot about it, and members of his team talked about it beforehand. And then when he gets the chance to actually do something about it, he backs away. He's lost. He's lost the respect of a lot of people over that. He says he wants to be the peace president. I'm going to end that war in Ukraine in 24 hours was his claim before he took office. Now he's 6 months into it, and he continues to facilitate that war. So yeah, I think your friend is exactly right. Yeah, Trump's got all the legal trappings of power, but the authority that comes because people believe in what you're doing and want to follow you, that is where he's losing power, losing authority.
And that probably reflects on foreign affairs as well.
Well, foreign affairs has been a damn disaster. He keeps claiming credit for ending wars that haven't ended, but
or doesn't exist.
What?
Or doesn't exist. I've seen some wars that are not.
Yeah,
we have nothing about it anyway. I mean, there were wars.
Like there were tensions between Armenia and Azerbaijan, but they hadn't been actually fighting for a year or two. What's really interesting there, I'd heard this. Someone mentioned this offhand, and I didn't pay much attention to it. But Armenia is a country of only 2.8 million, I believe, somewhere around there. But the U.S. Embassy got over 400 people assigned to it. Now, when you go out and you can rank embassies according to how many U.S. personnel are there at the embassy compared to the population of the country. Well, and so you work out that ratio. Well, it's a 14.3 ratio of officers to population, whereas China, Russia, France, and some of the bigger embassies in terms of actual personnel, the ratio is like 1, 2, 3 to 1. So it's very, very low. So you got to step back and realize the only reason we got that size of an embassy in such a little, small, pissant country that's not important in terms of exports to the United States, it's all about intelligence activity, both what I call the overt portions and the covert portions. And I would bet within that CIA station that you've got one group that deals with Russia, one group that deals with Iran, and one group that focuses on the Caucasus. And I didn't know this when I was at CIA, but now as I look back at it and take a look at this, I bet you that Yerevan is one of the most sought after posts for a CIA officer keen on getting promoted to the top, because that, of course, the problem there is, the traditional mission of CIA to recruit foreigners to spy for us. Hell, with that, it's like you got one CIA officer for every 2 Armenians that live in the country. So They don't even get to go to the bathroom by themselves.
That explains why the United States is building a 9-floor embassy, underground 9-floor embassy in Brasilia, in Brazil's capital. It's going to be fun times ahead.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. Yeah. But to be fair, it's very interesting that you mentioned the situation on Trump. To be fair to the United States, this type of ruling out of his tariffs from the Supreme Court, it's not done yet, but they are trying to revert these tariffs. This shows me, a very solid, democratic constitution working. What do you think about that?
yeah. I mean,
there is process, and it's following the process.
Trump tried to game the system. The courts push back. We'll see how far it goes. Today the stock market was way down on. They got a number of concerns, and I do believe I think we're headed towards a very consequential financial crisis, either this month or next month, and it's going to be global. It's not going to be confined to the United States. The countries that'll be hurt the most are the countries with the most debt, which turns out to be the United States and Europe. The countries hurt the least are those with the least amount of debt, which turns out to be Russia, China, India. Brazil, I think, has actually got a fairly significant debt to GDP. I'm not sure offhand.
Yes.
Let me quickly.
I'll look. Not as far as Europe. Plus, Brazilians' debt is mostly internal debt. So there is a kind of independence from the IMF and stuff like that, World Bank.
Yeah, it
doesn't work, but there is.
Yeah, okay, so it's 77%, 78%. So, but that still means that the amount of tax money and revenue that it's generating more of that than it's spending. Whereas in the United States, ours is 125%. France is like 110%. England is 101%. So all the main country, Germany's about the same number as Brazil, but the difference is, I think Brazil's debt to GDP ratio has been pretty consistent since over the last 5 or 6 years, whereas Germany's has been they used to be pretty low, below 50%, and now in just the course of the last 3 years, it's shot up to over 70%, and it's going to continue to grow higher because their economy's in recession. So, but what this means is that these various BRICS countries, whether it's India, Brazil, Russia, China, they've got financial room to maneuver in the event of a crisis. Whereas countries like France, the UK, Germany, United States, Italy as well. Italy's bad.
Italy is about 150%, if I'm not mistaken. Japan is 200 and something percent.
Let me check it out here. Let me just.
The thing here is that it always gets confusing with the European Union. That may be a problem for the entire bloc, including Germany, of course.
Yeah, Italy is 138%. So you're close. Yeah, 150. I didn't realize. That's ridiculous. So,
and I think it dropped a couple of years ago. It was 140 something. It dropped a little bit.
Well, it was in 2024. It was 135%. Now it's up to 138%. So it's going up.
Yeah. I'm screwed.
Why that is all relevant is, so you've got the European countries talking tough about everything they're going to do to Ukraine, to support Ukraine and fight Russia, but they don't have any money. I mean, all they're going to have to do is go out and try to borrow more, which means they sell more government bonds and see if anybody's stupid enough to buy them. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's extremely important for people to realize. So since we got to Ukraine, let's move to Ukraine.
No, we're not going to
Metaphorically.
You go to Ukraine. I'm staying in Florida. I don't want to go back to. Oh, you mean you want to talk about Ukraine?
Yeah, let's talk
Oh,
about
okay.
Ukraine.
Oh, phew.
Metaphorically.
I thought you were going to like kidnap me and force me to go to Ukraine. Good God.
Yeah, me
You're
kidnapping
you're
a
a
former
bad man.
CIA.
You're a bad man, Marcelo. You know, you're joining my network, what I call my online children. So
Yeah,
I've got you, and then there's Nima, you know, the other the Brazil the Iranian who lives in Brazil, as
Iranian
opposed to the
Brazilian. Yeah,
Brazilian who lives in Italy. Oh, you're both basically the same age, which is the age of my son. So I'm adopting this family, building out the boys here. Now,
we have to make a meeting, a Christmas meeting.
well, what we've got to work on is, okay, you got to start getting a Hawaiian shirt, tropical shirt of some sort. Enough with
I'll
this.
get one.
Enough with this black shirt business. Going to brighten you up.
Don't talk about my Rio de Janeiro shirt.
Yeah,
I'll get a Hawaiian shirt just for you.
I've been there. In fact, if you're going to have a Rio shirt, at least have it in color, for God's sake, because Rio is such a colorful place.
Yeah, it is a colorful.
I mean,
beautiful.
The wonders of the mountains. Just don't go into the favelas wearing gold chains, okay?
I think you're going to do very well wearing gold chains in favela.
Yeah. Hey, you're going to be really popular. People are going to come up to greet you.
Someone who will think you're, a musician or something like that. That's so. Let's go to you.
Did I tell you how I got robbed once in Argentina?
You got robbed in Argentina?
Yeah, this was back in 2000.
No. Can I give you a piece of advice? A lot of people from Rio de Janeiro is going to listen to that. You're going to lose a lot of respect by that.
Well, that's all. I mean, just being honest.
Go ahead.
I was invited down to do a series of speeches. So I was out walking in Buenos Aires one night, and this is a pretty nifty trick. I felt something hit my shoulder, and I looked, and it was all yellow. It's like, my God, a bird just took a dump on me. And these two women come around, oh, that bird, and they start, wiping it off. Well, while they're wiping it off, they're getting their hands.
They were wiping you off.
Yeah, they were ripping me off, not wiping me off. And but I suddenly realized it and got it stopped. But they got away with about $20. They didn't get a billfold. But they had. But see, when I travel, I do. I put money in different places. I don't carry it all in one spot, just for that particular reason. But it was. It was this the bird scam, they called it, because they'll sit there and they make you think that you've been shit on, and then while they're helping clean you up, they are cleaning you out. So, yeah, well, I've been there. I've been victimized. So it's just you have to get awareness. Okay, let's go back. You want to talk about Ukraine? Sorry.
Yeah, let's talk about Ukraine. But with $20 in Argentina at that time, they could probably buy a house.
Yeah, we could. During the hyperinflation, during the hyperinflation in 1984, my wife, my son, my friend Beto and Ana Paredes, and their two daughters, Cecilia and Natalia, we could all go to an Italian restaurant. Everybody eat $16.
Wow.
Basically $2 a person. Phenomenal. That was phenomenal. And that's a sign of what happens when, because Argentina, it's relevant to what we're talking about today financially, because during the 1970s, man, Argentina's currency was strong. It was the strongest currency. And so they would have, we lived in the city of Cordoba, which is right in the middle of Argentina. They used to have day flights. So you take off in the morning, or actually you take off at night. And it was about a 7-8 hour flight from Cordoba to Miami. They'd get into Miami in the morning. They'd go out and go shopping. They'd get back to the Miami airport at about 3 p.m., get checked in, get on the plane, fly back to Cordoba, be back. So it is like a 24-hour trip up, back, just to go shopping because the Argentine peso was so strong at that point. And then like 4 or 5 years later, fellow I mentioned, my friend Alberto Paredes, he unfortunately he passed, got cancer. He had sold his house to build. He's building a new bakery. He was a baker. Great empanadas, and great what they call facturas, these little pastries. And when he sold the house, it was at the start of this inflationary cycle. There was a mix-up in the paperwork. The tax on the house wasn't paid. So let's say he sold the house at the time for like $1 million pesos. And a year passed, year and a half, and they came back and said, hey, you got to pay the tax on this. Only they've indexed the tax to inflation. He had to pay $1.3 million in tax on a house that he had sold for $1 million in pesos. But at the time when they started, the peso was almost the same value as a dollar. And then, 15, 16 months later, it's worth maybe 5 cents to the dollar, if not less. And so, that's where I learned the way you stay alive in that kind of economy. You hold the hard currency, in this case, dollars, and then you go to the money exchanger every day to exchange, to buy the local currency if you need it, but you didn't want to hold the local currency. And, that's the type of financial crisis I think we're looking at here that is going to hit globally, particularly with the dollars, but we'll see.
In this case, the strong currency won't be the dollar. It's going to be commodities, gold, silver, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why.
Go to your capital, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're going to start sounding like the judge. You're going to start doing gold commercials. You go back and watch his gold commercials from a year ago, what the price of gold was then and what the price of gold is now. It's up pushing over 3,500. And, there are a number of analysts, financial analysts on YouTube saying, it's going to go 4,000, 5,000. So, it's just a reminder that we're, the United States is, to quote Bon Jovi, living on a dream.
Living on a dream. It is. And it is a real dream. Not the dream of the golden age. So let's move the subject to Ukraine. Just the subject.
Okay, just the subject. Okay, yeah.
Larry, this week we had the assassination of Andrei Parubi, which was one of the responsibles for the shooting Maidan, one of the new mustache guys. Are we facing, a purge? Are we looking at a purge at this point? And what do you think it's the continual from what we are now to where we're going in the next months?
Well, first of all, Parubi embodies the phrase "karma is a bitch." Those who live by the sword die by the sword. And this, this is akin to that movie with Kevin Spacey, The Usual Suspects. Man, who's got all the usual suspects lined up? Who did it? Kaiser Soze.
Kaiser Soze. I like that. That movie was amazing.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So we really don't know who killed him. Now, this is the second they had another SBU, a Ukrainian intelligence officer, senior intelligence, that was assassinated about 4 weeks ago. So it could be that the Russians are now saying, okay, we're going to come in and start taking you guys out. Could be. There could be also internal fighting within these groups. The extremists, the right sector, they don't always see eye to eye. But Perubia was one of the big enablers of the whole movement, the Bandera movement. And, the Ukrainian situation, it's only going to worsen. It's just a reminder that that Europe doesn't have unlimited funds to supply. If Trump backs out, Ukraine is really screwed. And Russia's military pressure is increasing, not decreasing. So there's no light at the end of the tunnel here. Or if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that means you're inside the tunnel, you're tied to the railroad tracks, and that light at the end of the tunnel is a locomotive coming over to run your ass over. That's the light.
Yeah. One thing I found today, I was, zapping to a shitter, and I found an amazing comment from Kvork Almasian. I believe you met him,
Yeah,
right?
no, I know Kvork. Yes, yeah,
It's
great
a
guy.
amazing person. Yeah. He's been here as well. I think you've been to his show, right? To the Siriana.
I've actually, he's interviewed me and I've interviewed him. We're in the
Amazing.
mutual interview society.
Mutual interviews. This is awesome. This the channels should do this more often. Exchange of favors. Let's call it like that. But it was a very interesting, very small comment, and he said that Ursula von der Leyen Twitter account, it's basically a warmongering account now. It only talks about war, and just 2 tweets after his tweet, it was a European Commission tweet, official profile of the European Commission, and praising war again, with the beautiful words as always. Yeah, Russia is threatening the European Union, blah blah blah. We have to go to war. Larry, are these people that stupid to perhaps to really believe that we can, and we'll go to, just I think this week or next week there's going to be another meeting of the coalition of the willing. A dumbass name.
It was yesterday. It was today.
It's today. It's today.
Yeah.
Is these people really thinking about going to war?
Yeah.
Are they really believing that Europe can go to war without the United States?
They're indulging the fantasy. They're a lot like the guy sitting around saying, "Man, if I won the lottery today, that $1.5 billion, here's what I'd do with it." You didn't win the lottery, so forget about it. They can talk, they can dream, they can scheme, but they don't have the ability to execute. Again, the finances of it just don't work. That's the most fundamental thing. Can you pay for it? Now, it is, why is the West caught in this vicious cycle? We are constantly coming up with an excuse to identify a foreign enemy. It's Iran, it's Venezuela, it's international Islamic jihadists, it's Russia, it's China. All of it is designed to justify spending over $1 trillion on a defense department, maybe soon to be named the War Department, but this entity of the U.S. government that is just sucking up money at an incredible rate. It never stops. There was never a peace dividend. At no point did they say, okay, we got 800 bases overseas. Let's cut those down now in half. Let's close half of them. Let's reduce our size of our military personnel. We no longer need to have expeditionary forces. We're not a threat. We're going to build up and defend the homeland. We're going to make sure we have secure borders. We could do that, but we're not, because the money's to be made. We got to create the hype, create the demand for our weapons, so all these other countries have to buy our weapons too. The more war and chaos we can stir up, man, it's good for Lockheed Martin, General Dynamics, Boeing, Raytheon. Edwin Starr his old song, "War, boom, boom. What is it good for?" And he said absolutely nothing. He said,
Absolutely
"Oh,
nothing.
dude, no, man, making money. That's what it's good for. Making money, enriching a few people." So someone needs to go back and rework those lyrics. Great song by Edwin Starr, but he
Fantastic.
he lost. He didn't pick up on the real clue that war, man. It's good for you, at least good for your economy. Good for some people to make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Since we are talking about war, let's pivot a little bit to the Middle East with Israel and Gaza.
Mhm.
Some weird things happen, in the last week. Uh, Starting by the United States calling some troops from Iraqi bases home, and also some communication from embassies to, get your hell out of Israel and Iran and stuff like that. Are we going back to, well, plus the assassinations on the Houthi
Mhm.
prime minister, and yeah, and
Well,
the continuous aggression on Gaza.
those were not Houthi government officials. Those were Yemeni government officials.
Oh, I read it wrong. Sorry
Well,
about that.
no, I'm just saying that may very well have been reported, as you said, but based upon listening to Alistair Crook a little earlier, he pointed out that in fact they weren't Houthis. These were purely civilian. And here's the Israelis assassinating these civilians. Well, I mean, that's what they do. Israel, the disgust and loathing I have for the Zionists is growing with each passing day. Their record of murder and bloodshed is really, they're going up there with Marquis de Sade and Genghis Khan and Adolf Hitler. Mao Zedong, Joseph Stalin, for all viewed as mass murderers. Pol Pot, and Bibi Netanyahu joins that list. It is. There are signs that the stress on Israel is increasing. The IDF is in the head of the IDF, who reportedly is, he's one of these crazed settlers, supporting the settlement of the West Bank. Even he said, "Hey, we shouldn't invade Gaza." The charges of genocide are starting to stick to Israel, and man, once that stinks on you, you don't get it off. You don't wash it out. And if anybody's ever gone and worked on a pig farm, the stench, the odor from the pig shit, the feces, it gets into your skin. So I mean, literally, you end up smelling. You can take all your clothes off, you can shower and wash, and you still stink. And that's what's happening to Israel because of its policy of genocide. It's got a stench of death about it that it will not be able to. That stain, that smell is not going to wash off.
I've been watching the propaganda, the official profiles of Israel or the IDF on Twitter. They are starting to recycle the narrative of the girl from what was her name? I don't remember. The girl that was dancing on the rave party on the day of the attack. So they're just reviving, old stuff. Remember, they were bad to us at this precise point. Plus, there was even a video, CC camera video from the house of one of the people that were attacked on the day of the Hamas attacks, and they tried to portray it as a very bad. And yeah, of course, the Hamas people entered the house and killed the guy with the grenade. But the guy had his children with him. he died protecting his children. The video is available all over.
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
You can watch. People can watch this. But they actually did not mistreat the children. You know, they
Right.
put the children on safety inside the house, offer juice, and then move with what they had to do. That kinds, you know, this kind of stuff kind of debunks everything that they've been trying to propagate from the day one. Just yesterday came out an article on a big Brazilian journal, O Globo. The article is opinion article, I guess, an op-ed. The title was "There is no evidence that Israel is committing willing genocide." What?
Yeah.
I mean, willing. They were, oh, that's my bad. Oh, but I won't stop. But my bad. I was doing that. Did I?
Yeah. No, that's, you know, again, the people making that argument don't even they don't understand about, you know, the use of force and, you know, bring it down. So I train people with firearms for self-defense. The only time you can use a gun to kill somebody is if that person is threatening you physically, not just with words, but that they pose a direct, immediate threat that they could kill you or take your life. That they've got a knife, they've got a club, that they're, you know, close, they're coming at you. That when you've done everything you could to get out of the way, to move away, to, you know, leave, and you can't separate yourself, only then can you use that firearm to kill that person. So what we're talking about, it's the use of force is an exception, not the rule. You know, just because you don't like the way they look or like the way they talk, sorry, that doesn't give you the right to kill them. But that's what Israel's doing. They're killing you because you're Palestinian. You're a terrorist by definition. We're going to kill you, which is what they're doing. It's wrong. It's evil.
It's pure evil. It's pure evil.
Yeah.
Larry, we had a very dense show tonight, but I had one major subject that I wanted to. Do you still have a couple of minutes that we can?
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
The SEO, the main subject of the day. You know, the
what?
Rocket Man. SEO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The Rocket Man just arrived.
Was there a meeting this week? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. Little Kim showed up for the parade in China, didn't he? And
he just arrived.
So, well, no.
And the media is already having a freak out. It was like 2 hours ago.
Let's see. Right now, it is. Oh, yeah. So today it's now September 3rd. So that's right. The parade will be in about 8 or 9 hours from now in China. So about the time, you know, when it's 9 o'clock your time, 10 o'clock your time, that'll be when the parade's launched. Yeah, no, the SCO was a reminder of how the world has changed. When you consider the fact that, you know, we talked about this a little bit earlier, that every one of the majority, the largest economies in Europe, they all have a massive debt to GDP ratio, as does the United States. They all have mediocre to non-existent economic growth rates right now. You know, very anemic, to put it in the most positive light. Whereas every single one of the BRICS countries have a relatively low debt to GDP ratio. They have a strong economic growth, and they're in good financial straits. Well, you know, it'd be one thing if the BRICS people only represented like 5% of the world economy or 10%. They represent over 50% of the world's population. But more importantly, they represent roughly about 50% of world economic activity too. The key is that a lot of that trade is not being done between them and the United States. A lot of that trade is being done between them and other members of and themselves and other members of the global South. So the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, it was an important meeting because it solidified them as a working group. And I think we're moving in the direction where Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which originally it was sort of a security group comprised of China, Russia, and the former Soviet republics like Kazakhstan, or Tajikistan, Kazakhstan. I keep wanting to say Kurdistan, but Kurdistan's not there.
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan, and then Belarus. So those are good. But now it's reaching out. Observers there: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Turkey. Brazil was represented, I think, through its ambassador. Lula didn't attend, but man, Modi, Putin, and Xi were there big time. So this is signaling to the world. This is where the world is headed. This is a new economic and political order that is emerging. One that's going to be, if you will, not just a competitor to the UN, but I think it will ultimately replace the United Nations, because the United Nations is increasingly becoming irrelevant. It's a large bureaucracy controlled by, as Putin described it, the Atlantic European Alliance. And that's they should no longer be in charge of the world.
Yeah, I think Putin on his speech on the SEO 2 days ago, he actually said that we should be doing more for social justice, worldwide social justice. That phrase for me, and I've been saying this here for a while. The UN. I do believe that the BRICS country and China and Russia mainly, and Brazil. To be very fair to Brazil. They do want to, the structure is already there. Let's just fix what's rotten. I'm talking about the UN.
Yeah.
But not only the UN, the Olympics, the World Cup, all those structure. Right now we have the Olympic game, the BRICS Olympic Games, that's growing and getting a bit of traction. Very, very little, but take the time.
Yeah.
But at some point, I do believe exactly what you say. At some point, if the UN is not savable, let's just we don't care about it. Let's build our stuff.
Yeah, the problem with the UN is that Britain and France are allowed to have vetoes on the UN Security Council. That needs to be changed. They need to be kicked out of that role. They need to say, hey, you guys you're no longer relevant. You're a bunch of piss ants. There should be a permanent rep from South America, Brazil, by virtue of its size and size of its economy and size of its population. India as well should be there by virtue of its size and population. Coming up with an appropriate representative for Africa would be tricky, and it's probably going to have to be rotated, because Africa is this massive continent, but God, what is it? When you go from Egypt to Morocco and Algeria in the north, to Tanzania, Ethiopia on the east, Gabon, Nigeria on the west, South Africa, Angola. I mean, there's no one country there that really, if you will, represents or symbolizes Africa, because Africa is such a complex, huge continent. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's sorted out in the future. But, what we know is that, particularly through the middle part of Africa, the Sahel, they are taking matters into their own hands, and they're kicking the colonialists out, telling the France, get the hell out, hit the road. They are accepting help from Russia and China, but Russia and China, man, their help doesn't come with big strings attached, just the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. Africa, I think at that point there should be, a regional alliance or stuff like that, like Mercosur or even the SCO
Yeah.
in the Africa. We have the African Union, and you have some ECOWAS, some other that could be, but it needs to be solid. They are still maturing these organizations inside Africa.
Yeah.
At some point, perhaps.
Right.
Yes. Larry, I think I'm on for it today. I got everything that I had planned, except one thing, but it's irrelevant. It's a Brazilian subject. I leave it for another time. I will remember everybody to like, share, subscribe the video. Follow Larry on sonar21.com. Amazing, amazing outlet for information. Don't forget ever to follow him there.
Be informed.
And everywhere that he shows up, the judge, Nima at Dialogue Works, Daniel Davis, Deep Dive, and links are on the description. I always leave links on the description. Larry, my great friend, thank you once again for showing up. Great
Muito
conversation
obrigado.
as usual.
Obrigado.
Muito obrigado. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
All right, my friend. Take care. Stay well.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Work on the shirt. Work on the shirt.
I will get what do you call it? Florida's casual.
I'm the Tommy Bahama influencer now.
All
right. Later. Bye-bye.
Later. Take care. Bye-bye.